Guys, welcome to Black Scout Survival Late Night Live. And so a media outlet came out and said that Trump launched a secret 6-tier operation to seize control of the Pentagon UFO files. People freaking out. But let me hit you with a question that nobody's asking. What if it isn't about aliens at all? What if it's about something much worse? Spirits, ancient deception, something straight out of the Book of Enoch. Buckle up, because we're going to blast into this rabbit hole tonight. And this is going to lead you straight to some crazy stuff. But I was actually pretty shocked, man. This is actually even outside the normal realm of content I would make. I guess not really. But the fact of the matter is that this came out in an Italian media network saying that Trump launched a classified operation called Project Preserve Destiny, designed to override military control and bring all UFO files straight to the Oval Office. It's being called one of the most aggressive efforts in history to centralize UAP intel. But here is the important part that no one's talking about. Presidents do not have access to SAPs or special access programs, period. That's why you don't hear when they're asked about it, they don't know anything, or UFOs, or whatever it is, UAPs, they don't know anything because they have zero access. The President of the United States, because you have to understand, these are elected positions, so they're in and out, right? Just like a lot of senators and congressmen, they're in and out. So they're voted in maybe for a term, and then they're gone. So you can't have all the secret access program information floating around. This is not a theory. This is a fact. And so that's why presidents are never looped into this sort of stuff. You're talking about deep black compartmentalized programs inside of the DOD that even the commander-in-chief are locked out of. Eisenhower tried to get access and was denied. JFK tried to push too hard, and we all know what happened to him. So this isn't just Trump being Trump. This is a direct assault against this record preservation. You know, it kind of, and this is just a side note, it kind of goes along with, you know, the Fort Knox audit that was supposed to happen during Doge and Elon Musk. We're talking about doing this Fort Knox audit, then the argument between them happened. It almost makes me wonder if that wasn't scripted just to throw that completely off, right? So that way you're not asking questions like, oh, they got an argument, let it go. The public, I've not heard anybody even talk about it. And that's how quick the American public can be distracted. Really, that's one thing about my channel, is that I try not to become distracted. I try to stay in focus, and that's why I'm always bringing up other old things, because people are so quick to get distracted. Now, so what they're saying is this is Trump is making a direct assault on the hidden state that has guarded this information for 70 plus years. And the question is why? Is he doing this for truth, distraction, or possibly control? Now, Tucker Carlson, who is known now as a dissident right because he's been upset about the Epstein stuff, which I don't blame him, everybody should be. He has mentioned, and he dropped a bombshell recently. He says, and because he knows a lot of people, he's very connected. He said, from the people that I've spoken to who have seen data, direct knowledge, they say this isn't about extraterrestrials, no ETs. This is spiritual. Let that sink in. This is coming from high-ranking military guys with access that Tucker Carlson has known and met over the years, people that whistle blew to him. They're saying this is not alien at all, not Martians, not ET looking to phone home. He's talking about something much older, and he specifically said that, something ancient, something biblical, something that's been deceiving humanity since Genesis. Okay, that's what Tucker Carlson said. And from what I get from Tucker Carlson is he seems to be a truth seeker, and I don't think he's BSing about any of that. Now, if you look at just historical reference, the Book of Enoch that talks about watchers and forbidden knowledge. Okay. It's a text that was stripped from the Bible and buried for centuries. It's like, I think 108 pages, something to that effect. And you have to ask why, right? It was removed from the Bible. Now, I think some Orthodox Catholics still have it in there, but it tells you the real origins of demons, fallen angels, and corrupt spiritual entities masquerading as gods, or maybe today aliens, possibly. Okay. Now, the reason why I bring this book up, and a lot of people say you can't talk about this book because it was removed from the Bible. First off, do you trust people in history that have done things? One, religion has been used for people's own personal gain forever. But one thing I think should really resonate with every Christian is Jude 1, 14, 15 says, Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied about them. See, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones to judge everyone. So Jesus' own brother, that's Jude, references the Book of Enoch. He references the Book of Enoch in the Bible. Yet you're not supposed to read it. It's convenient, right? And what exactly does Enoch say? So Enoch details out how 200 watchers or fallen angels descended to earth. They mated with women and created Nephilim. But it doesn't stop there. These entities taught mankind forbidden knowledge. Not science, not enlightenment, but destruction. Here's just a sample of what they taught straight out of Enoch. Azazel taught warcraft, sword, shields, and armor. Simjaza taught enchantments, root cuttings, and dark arts. And others taught abortions, the smiting of embryos in the womb. And they also taught astrology, weaponized deception, and how to manipulate creation itself. These weren't benevolent visitors. They were corruptors of the divine order. And now we're seeing some of the same teachers flood back into society, just rebranded. We have transhumanism, designer babies, human sacrifice disguised as healthcare, you name it. It's all coming back just in modernized forms, right? Now, one thing that Tucker Carlson did say is that 1945 was that's when things changed, okay? That's when we'll say the veil split. Let's talk about why all that started happening after 1945. Some people believe the first nuclear explosion splitting the atom tore a rift in the spiritual veil. Sounds crazy. Of course it does. That's the whole point. The timeline doesn't line, though. You look at the first nuke, right, 1945. Roswell crashed 1947. The CIA was created in 1947, and conveniently, the state of Israel was made in 1948. Maybe coincident, maybe coordinated chaos, you name it, right? 1945 wasn't just the birth of the atomic age. It may have been the trigger for the other side to re-engage, is what the theory is. And this sounds crazy, I know it does. But what's even crazier is our government, Project Blue Book. After Roswell, boom, the government panicked. So they created Project Blue Book. Now, I want to say this, that I remember when I was a kid, a teenager, I was watching this documentary about a crash that happened outside of an Air Force base. And I can't even remember the specifics of it. I just remember that the guys there, they were all dead by the time this series came out. But basically, these airmen and the colonel went to the crash site, and the colonel wrote about this. And these guys from the government showed up, flushed him out. He wrote about it, and he was demoted for this, even writing about it, right? So when you look at Project Blue Book, the public, and not confused with Blue Beam, we'll talk about that in a moment, but the public thought it was just an honest inquiry. Project Blue Book was supposed to be looking into UAPs, UFOs, and stuff like that, but it was wrong. It was actually a coordinated psychological operation to mock, discredit, and bury every credible witness under mountains of ridicule. And this is known through declassified files. Okay, so we know this to be true. If you see something, shut up or get laughed at, laughed out the freaking room. They weren't studying truth. They were crafting a narrative to hide what many believe, and what Tucker Carlson says from the people that he knows, is to hide the spiritual origin of these phenomenons and keep people locked into materialism. And if you want to look at just the attack on Christianity, there's no attack on any other religion like it is Christianity. You can pretty much say whatever you want to about Christianity, mock it, do whatever, and it's not happening in other religions. The other thing is that if you notice straight attacks from the government, especially during the Biden administration, there was lots of anti-Christian ideologies being pushed by the government. So we can assert the fact that we know that the government has been on the attack of Christianity. We move into what just leaked from Tulsi Gabbard, Project Mockingbird. It was just rebranded, renamed. You know what that is, right? It's CIA agents embedded directly into mainstream newsrooms. And that's still happening as of today, per Tulsi Gabbard. She just came out, I think, last week saying that Mockingbird has been going on under a different name. They didn't just influence headlines, they wrote the narrative. And if you want to look at the COVID pandemic, you should know full and well that was a full-on psychological operation completely. I personally believe it was probably for two reasons. One, to see if they could control people. Two, to place help with the election, and then also attack on small business, because while mom and pop shops had to close down, Walmart, Amazon, and so on still operated, making tons of money. Also, I also think taking that hokey pokey, if you took that hokey pokey, you probably take the mark of the beast, because you were told to. You were told to, you do it. You do it. Whatever this psyop tells you, you'd probably do it, right? And so you ever wonder why, though, that every news anchor says almost the same thing, almost verbatim? I've showed clips about this, like news anchors stating the same thing for a ton of different outlets saying the same exact thing. They've been programming you for decades. Control the media, and you control perception. Make truth sound insane, make deception sound reasonable. And we just went through that. If you notice now, if you get the coof, you can go about work, you can stay in school, nothing's wrong. But before, they were loading up ICE trailers in New York, saying they didn't have hospital rooms open. But now you can go to work, go to school like nothing else. How did that just transcend into what we are now? It's a war, right? Project Mockingbird is a war, but it's invisible. It's using media as a psychological operation, and they're still doing it today. Okay. Now, if you look at Project Bluebeam, the false arrival, okay, this is a theory on a planned deception using advanced holographic tech and atmospheric projection. They want to stage a fake alien invasion, or worse, a fake second coming, right? They call it the Great Unifier, but it's nothing more than the Antichrist rollout kit. And if you know about the guy, if you read about the guy who wrote about Project Bluebeam, they took his kids from him, and he just happened to have a stroke like the following day in his early 50s. I think he's 51 years old. And then we just did a deep dive on Bill Cooper, who mentioned this. I just did a video about this other week talking about Bill Cooper. And Bill Cooper warned us about this. So did Serge Monast, who died mysteriously after publishing the theory, right? That's the Bluebeam guy. There was also Soviet whistleblowers who told U.S. contacts that documents existed as early as the 1970s, playing celestial level psyops to bring about a global dictatorship. That guy told some colleagues, and that's how that got leaked. Now, the funny thing is that this is true, verifiable. Bill Cooper actually saw this information as well, and hence how we got it from Bill Cooper. But Jeremy Corbell talks about this. This video just came out, I think, recently in January, I believe. And he talks about this exact same thing, that these documents.
But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100%.
So he's saying that they're going to say craft is coming. Now, if you just saw headlines last week, I showed it, that Harvard is saying there's an alien threat coming this way.
Is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that.
So he mentions the document as well. And this has existed since the 1970s. Soviet whistleblowers told U.S. contacts these documents existed. And this guy's saying the same thing. Okay. I didn't even see this video till last week. And I did the Bill Cooper, 3 weeks ago, talking about the Soviets, the classified documents from the 70s. The other thing you have here is Snowden, Edward Snowden, right? Whistleblower. You have other whistleblowers as well. Don't forget that Edward Snowden said there are beings referred to as the tall whites who have been here longer than us, and the U.S. government knows this. He wasn't talking about ET again, right? He was hinting at something older, something not of this, of what we're familiar with. And I showed this video many times over the years. The former Canadian Minister of Defense, Paul Hellyer, came out and confirmed multiple species of alien beings interacting with governments, especially the United States. He spoke about this in front of their Congress. I showed the video. I didn't want to go look up it again. You can watch them all videos. And then I remember I was on a trip. I did this video. I did a live stream. I think I was in Florida in a hotel whenever I did the video. I talked about this. I think this was 2019, maybe. Israel's own former space security chief, Haim Ashad, said there's a galactic federation, but humanity is ready. And he said that Trump knew about it. Translation, global psyop already in motion. Disclosure isn't revealing the truth. It's revealing the lie you're supposed to believe. We know this is going to come if you've looked at the Bible. If you flip through it, you know it talks about a great deception, and you see these things. So the fact of the matter is that a lot of people will be deceived. Hence, maybe why the Book of Enoch was removed, so you wouldn't even know about it. There's also in the Book of Enoch a parallel to Revelation. It also mentions Jesus Christ coming 100 years before Christ came in this book. It also is has a parallel to Revelation that's almost identical. So the fact of the matter is it being removed makes you think maybe some deception here that's already happened. So that way people would get blindsided, because if you ask any Christian on the street, you talk about an alien, they're like, oh, no, it's not mentioned in the Bible. Because conveniently that book may have been removed. It doesn't talk about aliens, but it talks about spiritual beings. If you believe in the Bible, you know there is something more than the flesh and blood that we have. So I think it's convenient, though, now, especially looking at what's all happening in the world and how a lot of these things tie in together. A lot of what we see and the issues we see around the world all tying together. And if you look at wars and rumors of wars, you see Marjorie Taylor Greene is very upset right now. Said in 2024, America voted to end funding and fighting of foreign wars. Funding, fueling, and ultimately fighting Russia and Ukraine would be a complete betrayal to a majority of Americans who want nothing to do with paying to murder people in some foreign land over a foreign conflict that has absolutely zero effect on our lives. And I 100% agree with her. The same scenario goes for continue to fund and fight offensive wars on behalf of the secular government of nuclear-armed Israel. Republicans will use the younger generation and voters and may never get them back. I agree with her completely. And if you look at this, and if you look at the Book of Enoch as well, let me just side note, if you look at the Book of Enoch, you look at the state of Israel that was formed in 1948, just a few years after that 1945 event, and then the rapid paces which things take off, and you look at what it says about the secular Israel, things really start tying in together with everything we see now, and hence why you see a lot of Christians that focus solely, they base their whole faith on Genesis 12:8, where they say, "Bless Israel," and they totally base their whole faith and belief system off of that verse, where they don't follow anything else in the Old Testament, but that verse is the one that they have to. I saw Officer Tatum did a 40-minute, I'm sure he's paid by AIPAC, a 40-minute defending Israel today, as well as a lot of others that are fighting the state nation of Israel, right? The secular state, the government, right? It's different from the people there. The secular state of Israel, a government entity that was formed right after the CIA, Mossad, all at the same time, who has 90% of our politicians under control through money on Republican and Democrat, right and left. They own all of them. So if you look at like Ted Cruz getting in an argument with Tucker Carlson the other week about the reason why he joined politics was to protect Israel. It goes hand in hand. Then we have Dan Bongino here, who's asked what is on his heart.
What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel, defense of Israel.
What is number one?
And how he just basically had been going after the Epstein client list forever until now. He said Epstein did himself in, and you see what the man says there. So really, if you look at the big picture here, all of it is starting to make sense. You're not going to hear anybody else talking about this because the fact is it makes you sound crazy, and that's exactly what they want. When we ask the real question, why is all this exploding right now? Simple, distraction. Epstein files are hot. We just had Trump say it was a hoax. It was a hoax, he said. And now his attorney went down there to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. And check it out.
Attorney General sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell for 9 hours. I'm just wondering when the American people get to hear what she said during that interview.
Well, I don't know because I haven't spoken about it, but he's a very talented guy, Todd Blanche, and a very straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wanted to know, just to get a feeling of it, because we'd like to release everything, but we don't want people to get hurt that shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt. You can't have people associated. First of all, the files were run by some very bad people and very sick people like Comey and Lisa, the whole group, all those people in that office. They ran those files for 4 years. And if they were going to use the files, they would have used it before my election. Right. Because unless they're stupid, which to a certain extent they are stupid.
You're saying they would have released the information?
Well, they had the files. They control the files. Yes. I didn't control the files. They control the files for 4 years. So if they had something, they would have released it before the election, because they are not geniuses, but they're.
So the thing is, I find odd about that one. He said if they had something, they'll release it before that. Why does he make this about himself? He's referring to if they had something about him, basically. Well, then if there's nothing about you, then release it. The lawyer spent 9 hours there. I don't think any of us are saying that we think it's about you. We want people brought to justice for this. But then it goes into the video that I did the other day where one of the victims woke up in a New Mexico lab that was doing transhumanism experiments. So again, full circle, guys, full circle. This is much darker than anything you can even speculate. It's the same reason why Tucker Carlson, when asked, says he didn't want to know any more about it. That's what he said. he said, I know enough and I don't want to know anymore. So obviously, whatever this is so fearful to him that then the other thing is you bring up Diddy. A lot of people say Diddy's a distraction. Diddy, if you don't know, and I've done videos about this, so if you're new here and you didn't watch it, Diddy were owned by them as well. And we know who them is, they is. That's who started him out in the music industry. Some no-name, just like Epstein was a no-name person that came a billionaire. Diddy was a no-name music producer that got funded by a certain group of people that was basically running a parallel operation similar to Jeffrey Epstein. And then last week, Donald Trump was, per the White House media, was considering pardoning Diddy, but now he's kind of backtracking on that because Diddy did say terrible things about Trump.
John Diddy Combs,
Right.
would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, you know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's hard, you know, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more.
So him and Diddy were cool before. Lots of photos of them together. The thing I want to say, though, is that in the beginning, 2016 Trump, why you see a different 2016 Trump than 2025 Trump, Trump was not funded by that group of people. He actually did decline that money. Whereas now he received millions of dollars of funding during his campaign. So, bingo. He was not part of the group during that time, during 2016. So what happens when you have all this happening and elites being exposed, this and that? You drop a shiny new UFO leak. The sheep look to the skies and you let these demons walk free on earth and not releasing the list, right? So again, guys, this is not just about the UAP stuff. I mean, we still don't know about the drone stuff. That junk was covered up. Caroline Levitt, who said, Trump said we would know what it was. Caroline Levitt sat up there and said we don't have any information. It was coming from the oceans. We saw videos from police officers. I had subscribers sending me videos of these things the size of a Tahoe flying over their house in a slow speed. Didn't look like any kind of drone I'd ever seen. I showed videos here. So again, this ain't about that. This ain't just about Donald Trump. It's not about the Epstein list. It's about a war for your soul is what this is. The same deception that started in Genesis 6 is now being masked as disclosure. Ephesians 6:12 tells us that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness of the world. So here's the warning. Don't fall for any spectacles. Don't worship any crafts in the skies. Don't trade your discernment for government-approved truth. Question everything. This is a war of light versus darkness. We've been talking about this since the beginning. It's ancient. It's been around since the beginning. Now they're using your screen to do it, okay? And I think as with AI, we have Palantir, we have all these sorts of things. Who knows what Elon Musk is cooking up, right? Robots, AI functioning robots. There's a lot of things happening very fast. You're going to see technology at a rapid pace going forward, especially with the development of AI. And AI is probably evil, right? But I think it's important to at least know this stuff, at least talk about it. The media outlet in Italy is publishing this. And American citizens are so polarized, especially by, like Yuri Bezimov said, you'll get to a point where you show them things and they still disagree with you. The Fort Knox audit supposed to happen, didn't. You see all these different things that's happened, and people are still blindly pledging their allegiance when you've already been deceived to a certain point. So you need to stay unshakable, guys. Stay awake. And I want to know, do you believe, is Trump just trying to break the dam, to just really unleash all the information, to be the truth teller like he's said he wanted to be? Or is there something much darker? Make sure you're subscribed here. Follow me on Instagram. And before I forget, don't forget to pick up, we just dropped them this weekend, our Hard to Kill shirts. You've been seeing me wear this bad boy. It's probably one of my favorite shirts, to be honest. Hard to Kill. It's got a hem tag down below, crest on the back, secret message always inside, flag on the sleeve. This is a tri-blend, so it's a very, for the heat, it's perfect. Make sure you pick one up. They won't last long. No shirts do. And people always, they miss the shirt sale and they're like, oh man, is that shirt coming back? Probably not. Like this one never came back. We usually do one run of shirts and that's it. We come up with new designs, constant new designs. So make sure you pick it up, guys. Make sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Black Scout.